One Piece chapter 1130 is here, and we got our first look at Loki, and I have so many thoughts about this, but I also have so many thoughts about this chapter as a whole, because this entire chapter was stunning. It was absolutely gorgeous. I think lately Oda and his assistants' art has been top notch, and this chapter, they were showing off. First of all, very true to our crew's typical mannerisms. Once they realized somehow that their crew members are still alive, their response is, okay, good, they'll make it. I'm not worried about this. We've faced this and worse. Let's just go on to Elbaf. I'm sure they'll be there. I love the confidence that this crew constantly shows in each other and is constantly just like, no problem. They're facing death? Okay. What's for lunch? So I admit that I am surprised that we are actually on Elbaf, just because I know that Dorian Broggy's ship was far enough away from Elbaf that they said it would take them a few days to get there, and then our crew got snatched up, put on the crew of, what was his name? Roto. Put on Roto and all of the new giant pirates ship, and then they're just on Elbaf. So the timing of this does confuse me, but that's probably a me problem. I probably just missed something. But they're here, and it looks incredible. Coming out of this Lego set piece that used to be just a prison cell, coming into this new ship that leads us to this new castle that's huge, a swinging rope bridge that's so large that every step is its own chasm to fall into, and then scale back to this whole island. It's so beautiful. It's so huge that it boggles the mind. And that's exactly what Luffy says when he steps out of the castle and just throws his arms out and says, "It's huge! How many thousands of years old is that tree? Are they all like this?" Like the wonder that Luffy is experiencing coming here, the joy that he has on this new island. It just makes me so happy. I also love meeting Gerd, especially because she looks fantastic and I love her owl. Even though I do have a fear of birds, I also respect owls very much from a distance. I love that she has one. I think it's adorable. I love that its name is Piper. And I just hope we get more of Gerd and Piper. They're my favorites right now. Well, that's not true, obviously, but they're my second favorites after Loki right now. But naturally we have the typical Luffy shouting, "Hey you guys, we're here!" And then, and then them covering his mouth being like, no. They said they're gonna kill traitors, I think it was. Intruders get caught, so maybe let's not announce our presence right now until we know that they're actually on our side, which understandable that they don't yet know, especially after the encounter they've had with Roto. I also love Gerd because of how much she hates Roto and how she's just like, I hate him. So why is he here? Why is he a part of our crew? He's a navigator, not good enough. I'm like, I kind of feel you on that. But again, as they're crossing this bridge, the detail in the rope and in the snow that Luffy is walking on top of the rope and the others are slowly, carefully trying to get past the wood planks. We've got the wolves in the background on the ground. It's just so massive, and I can feel the cold, and it's ominous, but also a sense of adventure and wonder, and I'm so excited to be here. And then Luffy just feels the presence of Loki. He's just like, "Do you feel that? I can sense something." What does he say? "Can you feel that too? Something's tingling. It's whoever I heard roaring back in the Block Kingdom, I think." And then he tells him to keep on going, and then he hops down where all the wolves are. He hops down to that area to go and find Loki. I also think it's an adorable detail when we cut back to the Dorian Broggy's ship. I also think it's an adorable detail that they can't tell what the newspaper says because it's too small. They're like, what does it say? It's too tiny to see. And I just imagine this little human paper that they're like, this, I can't see it, they would tear it just trying to hold it to look, and Robin has to read it to them. And they find out that they have a very great bounty, something that they're not excited about, which is hilarious because our crew is constantly celebrating as their bounty rises, and they're both just making faces like, "Oh, I didn't know we were back in the game. that's a lot bigger than we thought. Like, that was a lot bigger than it used to be, and Robin has to explain inflation to them. And I just thought that their reaction to it all was adorable, because they're not looking for this. They're just kind of like, we just want to get back to our battle. Like, we're just trying to help you guys because we love you, and then we want to get back to our thing. And we're not worried about all of this a mess. But the image here is Luffy in his Gear 5th form with the X on his arm. And the implication with his arm being blurry but the X being crystal clear is that the X was added in the editing room by Vivi. I didn't even know this. One of my patrons had to point this out to me, that because Oda separated the crew according to Alabasta and post-Alabasta, the people who are seeing this message first don't understand it. They recognize it, it looks familiar to them, but they don't understand the significance of it yet. And so we get to say, Vivi is trying to send them a message. I see you, and this is where I am. And then when our crew, the rest of our crew, is going to meet up and actually see that, then they're gonna know, I know where to go get Vivi. I wonder if we're not gonna actually see this come around to that point until the end of the Elbaf arc, because they're gonna be busy doing other stuff. You know, Robin's not gonna be like, oh, by the way, I've been storing this newspaper article all this time. You wanna look at it? Like, halfway through the arc. I wonder if after they've done everything that they're gonna do in Elbaf, they get back on the ship, and then Luffy sees the newspaper article that's just been sitting there, and then he says, oh, we need to go get Vivi. I know where she is, and I need to go, you know, get her into safety, get her with our crew. I also think it's hilarious that Lilith sees the deceptive reporting that everyone else is seeing, and they're all like, this is all lies. None of this is true. And Lilith is like, haha, you killed me, huh? Like, it's like, that's such a funny reaction. And Frankie's just mad. He's just like, shut up. You know that's not what happened. So we got this information, this background information on Loki, that he committed tons of evil acts. He was sentenced to be crucified, but ended up escaping. And it took all of the warriors, all the giant warriors, just to restrain him. We know that he has possession of a legendary devil fruit, and that was a fixation of his. We know that he killed his father to get it, King Harold, and supposedly the next time that King Loki will be unleashed, the world will be brought to ruin. Cue Luffy standing right in front of the guy, smiling. The ominous presence he holds, that just a couple of the chain links that he's being bound by are larger than Luffy himself. This man sits there, bound by these chains, in the frigid cold, smiling, and asks him, name yourself, or demands of him, name yourself. And Luffy just joyfully, the joy on his face, smiles up at the guy and says, I'm Luffy. I'm the man who will be the king of the pirates. This is one of the best images I think that Oda and his team have created to date. This has got to be one of the best character introductions. This is one of the best character designs. This is such a great introduction to Elbaf, seeing the presence that Loki has, that just his presence is enough to make Luffy stop, feel it, and go off course and go find him. And I just love this spread. And naturally, this is what T'Seen chose to depict as well. T'Seen brought it in really close on Loki's face and his smile and the chains running behind him and across him. She went wild with the colors, and I think that they look stunning. And as I was reading through this chapter a second time as I sat down to film this, I realized that so much of Loki's introduction is similar to what we know of Doflamingo. His tongue sticking out, he killed his own father, he's chained up, and he's being depicted as being a little bit unhinged, a little bit crazy. And I want to direct you, by the way, T'Seen, always linked in the description. Please do check her out. Please do show her some love. She puts so many hours and so much work into these art pieces that she does every week, so please do show her love. I want to direct you to this video that I did a while back, not super long ago, but of Ragnarok, and that I think that some form of Ragnarok is going to be happening, and I talked about some parallels that I saw, specifically that of Doflamingo being a type of Loki and potentially coming onto Elbaf and participating in Ragnarok, the One Piece version of Ragnarok, playing the role of Loki. Noting that there is a Loki already on Elbaf. Here he is. He looks amazing. But Oda has a history of naming a character something, having them play that role in a way, but then also having another character play out their role in another way. You know, you can use the legend of a character in multiple ways in a story, and Oda has done that before. So Doflamingo, and I'm not going to repeat everything in that video. I do recommend, if you're interested in following what I'm about to say, checking it out if you want to. But Doflamingo, I think, is positioned in a similar way that Loki of the Legends was. And now we have this Loki, who too is positioned in a way that very much parallels. And now I wonder, with his backstory too being similar to Doflamingo, and this could all be a reach, I do wonder if Doflamingo does come onto Elbaf and is a part of Ragnarok, if it does indeed happen in this story, if Loki and Doflamingo will fight side by side and be partners playing out their role together, which I think would be so fun, or if Loki is going to be the antithesis of his legend and of what Doflamingo has been up to this point, because Loki, the legend of Loki in Norse mythology, is one that isn't definably on the side of good or the side of evil. He's one that kind of goes back and forth in who he is allied with. And so to have two people that are positioned as the Loki of the story, despite only one of them having his name, and one going the path of chaos and one going the path of actually allying with our group, and it would be Prince Loki that is allied with our group, and it would be Doflamingo that continues on the path that he's been on up to this point. I think it would be super interesting. I think it would be a fun thing that Oda could do. He likely won't, but I just like speculating while we wait on the next thing that Oda might do. All that said, it is certainly possible that Loki could be on the side of this living up to the legend that he is initially presented to us with, and the way that he looks when we first meet him, or it could go the opposite direction. We met Jinbei in chains, and he had quite a legend when we first met him. What's his name? Kuma, too, was in chains of a sort when we met him, and he had the legend of being this tyrannical, evil ruler. All of that was just what was built around him to incriminate him, to falsely incriminate him. So it could be the same with, and I mean, there's several characters that have been presented in this way. And so it could go either way with Loki. He truly could be this incredible force of chaos and evil that he's presented to us as in the beginning, or it could be that Luffy standing before him smiling, saying, "Hey, I'm Luffy," is him recognizing that, he feels good to me. All of that could be more of the type of character that has been falsely accused and a legend built around him to keep him in chains, but once he's released, actually he fights on our side. It could go either way, and I think that almost always, execution is really what decides if something is great or not. Anyway, after this scene, we then scale back again and we see the full tree. We get to see the kingdoms on top of it. We see this giant, massive sword that is stuck into the base that goes all the way up nearly to the top. We see our little castle that we came out of and the little rope bridge coming out of it, and it's so small. It's so small. This rope bridge that was massive to our characters. Now when we zoom back to see the tree as a whole, we see that rope bridge takes up almost no space. And that is so exciting to have this, to have a small piece being shown to us, and then a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger, and then it does so much for us, the reader, to see, oh my goodness, this world is huge. And of course it was going to be, or rather this island, this tree is huge. And we always knew it was going to be. And yet still, it's so exciting when we see it. Anyway, Loki says, I am the sun god who brings the world to an end. So that's pretty interesting that now Roto and Loki have made that claim. Roto's, I don't put much stock into him just calling himself whatever. But Loki is now making that claim too. So the question is, are there multiple sun gods? Is he trying to, is this a part of him being villainous? That he would kill his father, get the legendary fruit, you know, cause all this chaos and evil, and then claim himself to be, no, I'm the ruler of it all. No, I'm the one that everyone here is supposed to worship, and I'll just take on the name, you know, like Celestial Dragon-esque. Like, you're not, like, you posture yourself as a god, but you are certainly not one. It could be one of those. It could be that his devil fruit has some sort of, the way it shows up has some sort of a light effect to it, and so that's why he calls himself that. It could go in so many different directions, but whatever direction it goes in, I'm so excited to explore Elbaf. Anyway, we're on a 2-week break and Oda has earned it. I say take your break, enjoy it. What a way to leave us, you know, to give us such a strong start, a strong introduction to, okay, we're here and we're gonna explore it soon. Can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. I would love to hear your thoughts on the chapter. I'd love to hear what you thought of it and what you'd like to add to the things I said, or give a different perspective on something that I said but you saw differently. I would love to chat with you more in the comments, so please do. I'll see you again soon. Bye.